The fact is that I think I have a strong record of accomplishment. I'm very proud of it. In 1999, I led the fight to help write the first legislation on AIDS. And the fact is that legislation, I managed to get Jesse Helms to support it, Bill Frist to support it. It became the law. We passed it. And it's now called PEPFAR, and it's the largest health program by any country anywhere in the world. I first drafted that back in 1999. Put 100,000 cops on the streets of America when crime was rising. I led the fight to put those cops. People said it couldn't happen. Joe Biden would tell you today, and he said it on the floor. That happened because John Kerry was persistent and tenacious and made it happen. There are countless examples of stopping AMWAR from being drilled in. I led that fight all alone. I started that fight, led that fight, and we won by one vote in doing that. Housing, this year, I got $11 billion into the housing bill this year. It was my proposal. I put it together with Gordon Smith of Oregon, and we now have $11 billion of mortgage revenue bonds that will help prevent people from being foreclosed on. We're getting extra money for low-income heating energy assistance for the state of Massachusetts. We've helped veterans in the state be able to get tax breaks for their deployment overseas. I mean, I can go a long list of things where I am delivering to the citizens of this state. And we have unfinished fights. I want to go back there to get health care done. I want to go back there to get global climate change passed. I want to strengthen our policy, get our troops out of Iraq, and see us have a foreign policy that we can be proud of that makes America strong. The fact is that I have an understanding of what you do back in the United States Senate and how to do it. And I think today, just the national intelligence thing, I mean, that's just silliness. You didn't read it. I mean, I got much better information directly from the intelligence community and talking directly to George Tenet himself and directly to the Secretary of Defense, and that's the job of a senator. And the fact is that it's important for people to know that you do your diligence in these things. That was a very difficult vote. The only reason in the end, I felt that because they had weapons of mass destruction up until the moment that team left, it was important for us to hold Saddam Hussein accountable. But I would have done it, as I said, all through 2004, very differently from the way George Bush did. And I laid that out very clearly in my speech. So I think I've shown leadership on any number of issues. I helped change the Philippines and get rid of the Ferdinand Marcos, the dictator. I pointed the finger at Noriega and forced the administration to finally kick him out and held him accountable for money laundering and drugs. I changed the laws on money laundering. I mean, there are a long list of areas where I have shown leadership, and I think that leadership is particularly important, particularly now in Iraq. The position that I took in the Senate in 2006, there were only 13 senators who voted with me and Russ Feingold to set a date. The fact is, we have now made that the majority position of the United States Senate, and it is now the position of the Bush administration and of the Iraqis themselves. That's leadership. So I think the key issue here is, Massachusetts deserves to have experienced leadership at difficult times, and I'm providing that leadership. Well, I've already said, I'm not looking for it. Look, we went all through this with John and the vice presidency, and I said, folks, it's not going to happen. Don't waste your breath. Don't waste your breath about this, folks. I'm running for re-election, and you can't make predictions or sit around about the future. I'm not going to do that.
Senator, Mr. O'Reilly brought up Barack Obama just now and how he's out on the campaign trail talking about how you can't change Washington from within, you have to bring change to Washington. You've been there for 24 years. I mean, how do you respond to that?
I have been bringing change to Washington every day that I've been in Washington. And, part of my bringing change in Washington was to be the first person to stand up who's a national elected official and support Barack Obama. I mean, where was Mr. O'Reilly in that change? What has he done to create change? The fact is that I led on the question of Barack Obama. I led on campaign finance reform. I joined with John McCain. John McCain and I wrote the original, legislation, tried to do that. We joined together on CAFE standards. And we fought hard to get CAFE standards passed for automobile efficiency. John and I worked together on POW-MIA. That was change. Washington turned its back on those people. And we came in there and we got accountability that hadn't been achieved in 30 years. Now, unfortunately, John McCain has changed since that period of time, and now he's reversed a whole bunch of those positions. And as I said at the convention, Senator McCain seems to be very different from candidate McCain. But the fact is that I've been fighting for change the entire time I've been there. I just passed a pension reform that holds any member of Congress accountable. You lose your pension if you commit any felony. It's called the Duke Cunningham Law, because we have been charged with a higher responsibility. And so those are the kinds of reforms I've fought for, and I'm very proud of them. And I think mine has been a voice for change. This is what we negotiated. This is what we agreed to, and we've done it.
This is it.
And well, I go back to work in Washington. I got a full-time job, unlike my opponent. You know, we're voting Monday afternoon, and I'll be in Washington voting, doing the job I was elected.